Livestock guardian dogs make great additions to farms, but they can be hard to keep in even if you have a great fence. I've had some that were real struggles to keep in. So I invested in a SportDog brand in-ground fence system. It's one of those fences where the dog wears a special collar, and if he gets too close to the wire, he gets a shock. This brand of wired fencing can cover up to 100 acres, so it was easily enough for my 30-acre pasture. In this video, I will give you my honest opinion about it and talk about setup. I have very little faith that this system alone would stop a livestock guardian dog from escaping. There's way too many things that can go wrong. I recommend it only as a way to better secure a regular fence. A SportDog fence system is a box and insulated copper wire that's long enough to go all along your fence line and back to the box. You will also need the special dog collars, and maybe some flags to mark where you bury it if you want to try to bury it. You don't have to bury the wire. More on that later. The wire has to form a continuous unbroken loop. It has to start at the box and go on an uninterrupted path back to the box. You put one end of the copper wire in here, and the other has to make a loop all around your pasture and come back and go in here. The box has to be protected from bad weather and have a power source. I have the box in the house, and there's now a small hole in the wall the wires go through. Next, the wires need to get to the fence perimeter. You can dig a trench, or I ran mine through the air. Once you get to the perimeter fence, you can dig a shallow trench along the fence to bury it, or if that's not practical, just fasten it to the fence. When you circle back and have both wires running side by side to get back to the box, you can twist the two wires together. That will interfere with the radio signal, and the dog can run across the wires without getting shocked. Once you have the wires in place, you turn it on. If an alarm doesn't sound, you're probably good to go, but might want to test it by taking a collar to the wire and see if the collar starts beeping. This isn't the collar that comes with the fence, but an off-brand one. If an alarm sounds on the box, that means it's not working. You might have a break in the wire, or sometimes turning the knob on the side works. But sometimes adjusting the knob makes the alarm stop, but the fence still isn't working. I'm not actually sure of the purpose of that knob. When I ran my wire along the fence, I figured it would be best right along the middle. That would be the easiest, and the dogs wouldn't be able to dig out or jump over without feeling a shock. But after having had this for several years, I've concluded that was a mistake. It's too easy for wild animals and my goats and ponies to chew on the wire. Very frequently, I hear the sound alerting me that there's a break in the wire. I think I should have put the whole thing at the top of the fence. This would make it less likely to get chewed on, and as a good bonus, the wire will almost certainly break if a tree falls on the fence, which means an alarm will sound if the fence is down. That would give me a better chance of fixing it before I have goats jumping on the neighbors' cars and eating their gardens. Usually the fence will keep working if there is only minor damage to the wire. Here's where something has been chewing on it. But usually just a complete break will make it stop working. If you notice the alarm going off more during a rainstorm, that might mean there's a place mostly connected, but there's enough damage it can't work when it's wet. To fix the fence, it's best to use these grease-filled insulated peanut cover things. They're called Waterproof Wire Splice Kit for Wire Break Repair in Electric In-Ground Dog Fence System. But I've patched this thing up so many times, I just usually twist the wires back together and use electrical tape. That won't last as long, but it doesn't take long before there's another break in the wire anyway. I would like to point out that this copper wire is not electric. The electric part is in the collar, and this wire just gives off a radio signal. So if an animal bites into the wire, it won't get hurt at all. I have mixed feelings about that. The wire would probably break less if I buried it, but it might still break some, and then it'd be harder to find the break. Besides, I can't dig all along this fence line in my lifetime. The lower the gauge of wire, the thicker and stronger it is. The SportDog Fence system usually comes with some of the highest gauge wire that would work, but that thin stuff will break easily. You might save your future self a lot of trouble if you go ahead and get some lower gauge wire. The lower the gauge, the more expensive, but the lower you can go, the less likely you'll have a problem with wire breaking. Some dogs will continue to get out with a fence and the SportDog system. They make stronger collars for those kinds of dogs, sometimes called stubborn dog collar. And you might try to improve the fence as well. I have another video mainly about cheap and cheapish ways to improve an existing fence. Hopefully you'll find something that will work.